So I'm not sure how many of you have heard the news, but it has been confirmed that there's serious consideration of a 50-year mortgage. And President Trump has recently put out a post on True Social stating that there will be $2,000 dividend checks at minimum sent out to every American citizen minus the wealthy. I'm going to have a very straightforward conversation with you on this topic because this news is very telling. The reality on the ground is that the rich are terrified, the economy is crumbling, and desperate times are calling for desperate measures. A 50-year mortgage is absolutely preposterous, but the reason it's being proposed and seriously considered is because housing prices are through the roof and mortgage activity is down. So you have a scenario where prices are not coming down and people can't afford the mortgage. You have a supply issue in real estate, right? So there's not enough homes for the amount of people who want to buy it, but on a larger scale, transactions are down. This is hurting the economy. Now, it's not very realistic that a 50-year mortgage is going to come in tomorrow. There's a lot of regulation and rules that keep that kind of thing from existing because it's generally a bad idea. But the fact that it's being proposed should tell us a lot. The next topic is the $2,000 dividend, aka stimulus checks, that President Trump put out on his True Social recently. That is basically a backstop, in my opinion, for we may have to put money back in your hands if the economy doesn't get functioning in a healthy capacity soon. If tariff revenue is doing so good, if jobs are so plentiful, if factories are open up all over the place, if money's flowing everywhere, if things are so great, why do you have reportedly more and more layoffs happening in the economy? We're continuing to have higher unemployment. We have a deficit in manufacturing jobs, meaning that there's more jobs, getting laid off than being added. That's the national debt is growing, not shrinking. So the question is, are we not supposed to believe our lying eyes? Like, if you look at the numbers and the statistics, it doesn't line up with what you're putting out in your posts. So you're talking about dividends checks as if things are going so great that we have enough surplus to pay dividends from government revenue. Interesting. Then you're talking about a 50-year mortgage. Even though the economy is doing great, you would think that means that more people could afford a home, right? Because there's factories popping up everywhere, there's jobs everywhere, there's money flowing through the economy. Why would we need a 50-year mortgage to make homes more affordable? I don't understand. Why wouldn't the economy, why wouldn't jobs? Hell, my God. I'm lucky enough to have you on a live stream live. Why would we need to add another form of stimulus to the housing market, basically, through 50-year mortgages to make them more affordable? Let me tell you something interesting. The proposal of a 50-year mortgage, y'all make sure y'all like as y'all come in. I see y'all starting to come in. Make sure you leave a like. The proposal of a 50-year mortgage is fear from the power structure. Because what that's basically telling you is they have no intention on housing prices coming down anytime soon. Because if you want to make houses more affordable, then why not work through the system to bring prices down? Wouldn't that be basic math? Or even better, how about people's wages increase? How about that one? How about people just make more money? How about they make a better wage? Nah, we're not going to do either one of those. Let's just stretch out the amount of time that it takes to pay the debt off, because that makes payments more affordable. You see how that works? Why a 50-year mortgage would be appealing is because it makes payments more affordable. And if people can afford the payment, then they can afford the home. So all signs are pointing to you are crying for interest rates to come down by 2 and 3%, which for those of you who may not be as familiar, what that basically means is we need economic activity, because rates are not that high historically speaking. For those of you who are not familiar, the rates that determine the broader rates in the economy, the federal funds rate historically is not that high. Rates in our economic system are not that high, but yet we're being told that they need to come down 2 or 3 basis points when they're already barely at 5% right now. So you really want rates near zero again, which is the last time we did close to that was COVID. The world was in a pandemic. That's how bad things had to get for rates to go down near zero. And you want that again because the economy is doing so well. Then you turn around again and you're saying, well, we need to consider something like a 50-year mortgage to make housing more affordable. Comedy or whoever it is, shout out to you coming in the building. Make sure y'all leave a like as y'all coming in. So we're talking about getting rates down to significantly low rates. The only time they come down that low is when things are horrible. The next thing we're talking about is 50-year mortgages, because mortgage activity is down so bad, and people can't afford, most people can't afford the average home. So you're talking about adding, basically almost doubling the length of mortgages to make the payments more affordable. Does anybody have any idea how much interest they would pay on a 50-year mortgage? Let's say you get a $500,000 house on a 50-year mortgage and you ride that mortgage out as amortized. Does anybody have an idea how much interest they're going to pay? You're going to pay for that house like 8 times over. Literally going to pay for that house like 5, 7, 8 times over. It's insane. But that's the solution, because you know that you don't have any intention on prices for mortgages coming down, and you know you don't have any intention for people to make a better real wage. You know that that's not the goal. So what are you going to do? You're going to find the next backdoor way to make houses more affordable. You're just going to stretch the debt out for longer, because that's going to drop payments and make it more accessible for people to qualify for mortgages. I've been telling y'all on this channel as well for a long time. They're going to pour more and more money into first-time home buyer programs, grant programs. Watch the money quietly roll in at these banks and institutions, rolling out free money for you to basically get paid to buy a home. Watch what I tell you. Then on the other end of it, again, going back to this dividend check situation, you want rates lower for economic activity. People can't afford mortgages. We have consistent job loss, layoffs going on. The national debt is still trending upward. The government shut down and can't agree on basic budgets and basic functions. And yet you want me to believe that the revenue flowing from tariffs and the government's revenues going so well that you can afford to give everybody excluding the rich, you can afford to give everybody $2,000 in a check and a dividend because there's such a surplus. Somebody let me know in the chat down below what I'm missing. Somebody down, let me know what I'm missing. Leave a like on the video. I'm not seeing thumbs up on here. I'm seeing a bunch of y'all in the room with no thumbs up. Leave a like on the video. But somebody down below, let me know what I'm missing. How is it possible that you're showing all these different signs that you need an uptick in economic activity, but you're promising that the economy is humming along right now? All signs point to we're in desperate times. We need rates lower. We need mortgages more affordable and better qualifications. We need to put money directly in people's hands. But the economy is doing great. So great that the government has a surplus in revenue. I'm telling y'all right now, and I've been saying it on this channel really since it's the inception, and really been hammering it home a lot this year in a lot of my videos. I do not promote relationship banking and maximizing your borrowing capacity as the foundation, the moniker of this channel, to be cute, to be reckless, none of that. What I'm telling you is that if you don't master your relationship with your finances, master your relationship with the financial system, and master your access to money, and get your hands on assets and position yourself properly, these people are making it abundantly clear that they don't give a damn about inflation. They will inflate this economy away because inflation is a wealth transfer to the rich. So before the economy can collapse, before you're going to go through the pain of real normal interest rates, before you go through the pain of the housing market collapsing because people can't legitimately afford it, instead of paying people a real wage, to allow them to catch up to the housing prices, nah, what we're going to do is we're going to just pump more money in the system, synthetically prop up access to mortgages, synthetically put money in your hand. We're going to synthetically manipulate the economy through lower interest rates, near zero interest rates, and watch everything inflate through the roof. But economic activity and GDP is going to pick up. What does that mean? More revenue for the government, more money for the rich. Stocks will go through the roof. Real estate valuations will go through the roof. Crypto is going to go through the roof. And who owns those assets? Y'all let me know. Who owns those assets? The means of production, housing, cryptocurrency, you name it. The stock market, the businesses, only the wealthy, only the rich. Only the rich are the ones that own it. So it's them, and the government's going to get more revenue. They know when they put stimulus checks in most people's hands, what's going to happen. Those people aren't going to take those $2,000 and go find some good stocks. They're not going to take the $2,000 and pay some debt down. You know, they're not going to put it in a reserve fund. Most people are going to find a way to spend their money. That's just facts, which is exactly what it's intended for. A dividend check, a dividend check. The revenue of the government is going so well that y'all can afford to hand out dividend checks. Holy shit, son. Holy shit. What am I missing, yo? What am I missing? So what I'm telling y'all is, and I'm following this recipe to the best of my ability myself. I am not uber rich. I am not uber wealthy. But what I am encouraging you as a financial professional, as a banker, as a licensed mortgage loan originator, as a FINRA investment license specialist, as a small business banker specialist, you better get your ducks in a row if you don't already. And I'm not just talking about sitting on a bunch of cash. You better start getting your hands on the right assets. But because before this house of cards comes down or gets refreshed, you know, evolved, whatever is going to happen to this economy in the long run, it's going to inflate like crazy. This administration is hell bent on making sure that the economy does not collapse on their watch. And they're willing to pump as much money in the system. They're willing to fake rates as much as they have to. They're willing to put as much money in your hands. They're willing to double the length of term for a mortgage. They're willing to do whatever they have to do to make sure that assets don't drop, that Wall Street stays in a good place, and that the rich continue to benefit from asset inflation. And that we synthetically think that the economy is doing well because there's money in our hands and because things are more affordable artificially. Those of us that are not savvy about our finances, those of us that are not savvy about how the economic system works, will fall for the idea that the economy is doing well, that this administration is doing so great with the economy because there's money in our hands. The same thing happened the last time before the gentleman left out of office last time, 2019, 2020. So what I'm letting you know as I close this out, I'm encouraging you to pay attention to what's the writing on the wall. This news is not for none. For those of you who might be coming in later, again, I'll recap. $2,000 dividend checks, aka stimulus checks, in a true social post because tariff revenue is doing so great. 50-year mortgages because the economy is so great and real estate is so fantastic right now, and we just want to make it even more accessible to more people. And we need interest rates down that are already at relatively low to average levels of the federal funds rate, 4 and some change, 5%. We need that down by 2 or 3 basis points, aka we need it cut in half, which is going to immediately spike up inflation because that means more money is going to pump in the system, more borrowing is going to go down, more spending is going to go down. That all contributes to inflation. So I want y'all to let me know in the chat down below before I get out of here, or let me know in the comment section on a replay of the video. What are your thoughts around this situation? What are your thoughts around the idea of $2,000 dividend checks? What are your thoughts on a 50-year mortgage? What are your thoughts on the fact that they want interest rates near zero in order to stimulate the economy? And let me know how you're feeling in the economic system. How well are you doing? And how well are the people around you doing? Your colleagues, your family. How's everybody doing on your end economically? Are jobs popping up everywhere? Are factory jobs popping up everywhere? Is the economy booming where you are? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm just curious to know, get a pulse on how things are going for everybody. But I'm going to wrap this one up for anybody that doesn't have any additional questions. If you want to time with me on Instagram, link will be in the description down below. To all my pioneers, welcome back. To my new viewers, welcome in. I want you to like, comment, share, subscribe, support the video, support the channel so the channel can continue to support you. Other than that, I want each and every one of you to stay focused, stay in motion. I'll see y'all soon.